Hello and welcome to Chesson Worldwide Communications. This week in the news. As we did during our last show, we went through the events of the prior week and what had happened in our political world. And this week, we want to try to continue our weekly news report of events that occurred throughout this week. I have a list of certain events that we have to go through. And first, we will start with President Donald Trump and North Korea. As we have seen in the news lately, North Korea President Kim and President Trump have been exchanging some hot words. Despite the escalation of what may seem as an imminent nuclear situation, the Pentagon has been very cautious and patient in dealing with this whole North Korean U.S. issue. Unlike POTUS, who has been somewhat provocative with Kim, it has seemed that as though they have taken this whole conflict out of a political arena into some far-fetched political exercise. I mean, right now we have the two leaders of the world who have nuclear weapons acting like people without responsibilities. POTUS talking about dealing with fire and fury, and Kim and the North Koreans talking about attacking Guam, which is the U.S. territory in the South Pacific. Attacking Guam with nuclear weapons and creating an envelope of fire. I don't know where all this is going, but we are thankful that the Pentagon is being cautious. Apparently, the Pentagon does not want to engage in any war. We have not escalated our troops in that region. I think the last time I read the news, we had 75,000 troops in there. And so far, I haven't heard of any escalation in manpower in that region. Also, the Pentagon has advised that POTUS and Kim use diplomatic channels instead of talking about war and nuclear warfare and all these. So what we're looking at right now is a political deadlock between the U.S. and North Korea. And in all of this, where does China stand? Now, we all know that China is in the direct vicinity of Korea in the South China Sea. That's the region that China is basically concerned about. Now, China doesn't want a military coup. They don't want the regime in North Korea to topple. Why? Because of China's own interests of maintaining its security and a buffer zone within the South China Sea. Now, because of all of this, the Communist Party has come up with their plan on how to deal with this nuclear debacle that is currently going on between U.S. and North Korea. According to the Global Times, the party newspaper in China, they have listed a plan on how to deal with this U.S. and America situation. China has decided that if North Korea attacks America, it will remain neutral in this whole conflict. But if U.S. attacks North Korea first, because of POTUS's statements of lock and loading and being ready to go into North Korea or respond to any threats of that in that region, China is also cautious because it doesn't want the United States at its borders. It doesn't want the United States in the South China Sea. So how are we going to deal with this? So China is taking precautionary measures. And in listing its plan, is stating that if U.S. should attack North Korea, it will first, if U.S. attacks first, China will consider that a preemptive strike. And it will side with its ally, who we know is North Korea. So despite all this conflict, China has tried to maintain a diplomatic presence within the area and has encouraged both countries to maintain diplomatic restraints. Pyongyang in North Korea has not listened to China. POTUS is not listening either. So the Chinese are sitting and watching and maintaining the South China Sea region and want to make sure there is no encroachment in their area. So that's where we stand on this whole nuclear situation right now. Where Russia stands, you never know what Vladimir Putin will do today or tomorrow. So this basically involves the three major countries in that region. Even though Russia is also affected, but it's not deeply affected as China is, because China is the main ally of North Korea. So that's what we have right now. We have this hot talk situation going on. We have the threats of nuclear war and destabilization of the world ongoing. The poor people in Guam, I don't know how those people are taking this threat, because as far we can, as I was reading recently, their warning was look up and take cover or something like that. Don't look up or whatever it is. But try to avoid the flash from the nuclear bomb. But these are the things that those poor people have to confront. You know, despite the fact that we are far away from Guam and we have forces in Guam, they are in striking range of North Korea. So we're playing it by air, hoping that POTUS will tone down his rhetoric, and so with Kim, and that we'll find a diplomatic solution to this thing. But all in all, North Korea has to maintain some control of its new nuclear arsenal. I mean, this is a young man, and nobody really knows his temperament. We know that he has killed his uncle and his brother. So what extent he is able to maintain himself in a responsible manner, knowing that his country has an obligation to the world too, not to be irresponsible in maintaining, keeping, and testing nuclear ballistic weapons. So that's where we stop now. And we're just glad that the Pentagon has a mind of its own, is not playing into this whole POTUS scheme thing, and at least we have men in arms that we can depend on. Now, the next thing on my list is Venezuela. There's an upheaval going on in Venezuela right now. I'm not going into the political situation, but this all involves elections, and this whole region, Venezuela, for years has been unstable. From Cesar Chavez on to today, this country has been troubled. Now, POTUS has put military option on the table as well to bring this chaos in this country under control and to avoid people grabbing power by force. So where will this process go? Putin has made his statement and given his ultimatum, what needs to be done and what options we have to help the Venezuelans live a peaceful and stable life. So we'll play that by ear too and see where we go from this next week. So this has been that part on the news. But the situation, the political situation is just tense in that country. And we hope that the violence does not explode beyond what is going on right now. Okay? Now to Providence. I'm still troubled about Providence City Mayor Jorge Iloza and his statement that because a few people in the Providence community had bothered or harassed or troubled the Guatemalans in Providence, therefore the whole black community had to suffer and be prevented from seeking employment in Providence City Hall. Now this is against the law. This is no different than the same African leaders we're talking about, who can take power into their own hands and just do what they want to do. Black people have suffered for too long. And Jorge Iloza, a minority himself, should know that. And should be considerate, compassionate, understanding towards other minority groups who have also suffered the same kinds of situations that people like Jorge Iloza has been in. But we see when people become fortunate, get good education and elevate in our government, some of our leaders tend to forget that they are not there for themselves, but they are there for the citizenry of the nation, state, city, town, or wherever they rule. And we got to hold our leaders accountable and responsible. But what even bothers me more than Jorge Iloza is the fact that educated blacks in positions, lawyers, educators, have not said a word about Jorge Iloza's statement. The only person that has come forth and sought to speak out for their people is Joseph P. Buchanan, the president of the Black Political Action Committee of Rhode Island. And it is fortunate that this man formed this thing, because black people in America can not only stand up for their rights when there's a shooting, or when black people get killed, or beaten, or they're thrown out of their houses. We cannot wait for the violence to occur before we react. We have to be proactive in maintaining our society, in ensuring that our leaders follow our laws and constitution, and ensuring that our police exercise their duties with responsibility, with a mind to community, and without discrimination, racism, bigotry, or any negative doctrine, beliefs, or tenets that does not benefit the entire citizenry of the state and city. So, we have to hold this man accountable. Everything our mayor says, he has to be held accountable for. Jorge Iloza is not Donald Trump. He can't just be shooting off at the mouth and making decisions against the Constitution of this country. And I'll tell black people in Rhode Island especially, stand up for their rights like men and women. Instead of remaining silent and seeking positions, only doing things for position or handouts, we'll never seek justice. Because just how we're fighting for justice, that just how people know our weaknesses and play upon them time and again. Because one of the main weaknesses of black people is handouts. You know, we fight for the cause, then we sell it out for tricklets and handouts along the way. And we can't continue to do that. You know, we have leaders of this country that have stood up and said, give me liberty or give me death. Leaders, white, who have stood up for justice and maintenance of the Constitution of this nation. And this Constitution does not only speak to black people or white people or yellow people or brown people. It speaks to the citizens of the United States of America who have come together in a collective agreement to set laws to govern this nation. And no one group of people, race, creed, or religion has any right to suppress, disparage, or put down another group of American citizens. This has gone on for too long. And we cannot say that we are Christians and servants of Jesus Christ and we treat human beings with indignity and inhumanity. That is not Christian. Jesus is love, Jose Iloza. And you cannot deprive American and Rhode Island citizens of their rights to share into our community. So, it behooves the black community of Rhode Island, especially, since no other people want to stand up for us, not even the governors, the senators, the representatives, the educators, the lawyers. Nobody wants to speak for the black community because they're black and they're not part of us. So let them fend for themselves. But we have failed our Constitution. We have failed our religious tenets. We cannot say we are Christians when we suppress other people. When our church leaders remain silent, where is Bishop Tobin? Where is the Catholic Church or the Jewish synagogue? Where are all these religious people running around here saying they're praying to God and all of that? But when it comes to the black people, everybody's silent. We can't go on like this. I mean, I'm an African Christian and this is not the Christianity I know. I mean, this is a totally different, this is white Christianity. Because my Christianity, I was taught to love white, black, blue, yellow, purple, green. Okay, I may tell you how I feel, whether you like it or not, but that don't mean I hate you. But when you deprive me of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, of food, shelter, and clothing, you have infringed upon my God-given rights. Not even constitutional. God-given. So if you are a Christian, and you place your God above or first before all things, and you treat other human beings as you do, how can you say you're a Christian? I rest on that. So, Jorge Iloza, I think as a man of dignity, it behooves you to either come out and admit you're wrong and apologize to the black community, or if you're too proud to apologize to black people, resign. But the people of Rhode Island, especially the black community, must not re-elect Jorge Eloza. He is not qualified. He fought against the Prince of Providence. They fought to move Buddy for all kind of reasons. Now yet a man right in Buddy's shoes, and he's doing worse than Buddy, because I never heard Buddy saying no black man can work and sit at home. And for you to say that, Eloza, I got a problem with that. And I can't sleep at night. If these educated lawyers who making money by the hand over fist cannot speak for their people, then that law degree they got and all the positions don't matter. Because they're not black. They're not in the struggle. Okay? Because even if I had those things, even if I was wealthy, even if I had all the degrees in the world, and I hear Jorge Eloza make that statement, I put everything down and I'm going to confront him. Because all of those things don't mean nothing to me when this man can deprive one of my people. When you deprive one of my people, you can deprive me. Probably the Rhode Island black people don't know that yet. Maybe I came from Africa to teach you all that. But if I know you don't like Africans to tell you that, so that might cause you not to sleep at night. So maybe if you don't sleep, your eyes will open. And you think on this bad African who says something you need to know. We cannot tolerate this. Rhode Island, not black, not white, not Chinese, not blue, Rhode Island citizens cannot tolerate this in this day and age. It must stop. Let's move on. Now we're going to talk about the African immigrants that are leaving Africa and going to places, these Arab nations for refuge and jobs. Beware. These people don't like Africans. Arabs are some of the most vicious people in their countries. I got friends there from all over the world working there now. They won't leave. That Dubai y'all like going to, all the places y'all like going to, beware. Racism prevails against black people. Okay? Some of the Arabs are more racist than whites. I know them. Beware. We have to build our country and our continent. I blame the African Union. I blame ECOWAS. I blame the leaders of Africa because they are still useless and cannot come to the aid of black and African people across the world. I mean, why do we have one of the largest continents on God's earth, and all our leaders have no clue of what's going on in the world? All our leaders seem to be so blind and backward, even those with Harvard degree. Gosh, where we going, my people? So, Africans have to take a new look at ourselves. We either got to vote all of these worthless leaders out and put leaders in that we will protect and defend against foreign execution, coups, and the destruction of Africa and African nations. No more. A new day must emerge on the African continent. Liberia. I don't know what we're going this time, man. We're supposed to be having elections in 2 months, but Ellen Sirleaf got us. I don't know what's wrong with these Harvard graduates leading our country, Lord. Right now, there's a deadlock between Ellen and Boycott in her party. I mean, this woman, she has a political party, but she has destroyed Liberia so much that she's looking everywhere she can for protection. Now George Weah finishing he will protect her children, and her family. That's a lie, George Weah. You and your Italian friends ain't got that kind of power. That woman will follow what the Liberian people say. And if you try to manipulate our laws or use force or coercion to keep that woman from being prosecuted, you'll meet the full force and weight of the Liberian people. A hint is quite sufficient. All your foolishness you're playing in Liberia with our election and our country's future must cease and desist. I'm watching you. You will not kill my father and our leaders in vain. You will not destroy what my people built over centuries in vain. We cannot tolerate it. If you won't follow your foreign friends, get out of our country and leave. You're finished selling our country. George Weah can't protect you, Ellen. So, you got your party. Ellen is with Unity Party. Ellen has made statements prior to this election that when the time comes, she don't know who she's going to pick to be vice president, but she will pick her choice. That Joe Boycott running his own campaign, so he got to stand up for himself and express his own views and everything, but she will be there. This is a lukewarm president who has led our country with deceit and lies. And the same thing she carrying on after election. How you be in a party and say you're not supporting your vice president? The man who has supported your corrupt behavior, your crooked sons, your devious sister, and corrupt brother-in-law Estrada Bernard. Now you coming to tell this man that you're going to leave him, that he's on his own. You sending the man deceptive messages. One minute you with him, then the next minute you supporting Charles Bromskin Liberty Party. Now the people looking at Weah because Weah finished promising to save you and your son. Follow Weah. You don't know Weah fooling you. But Liberia cannot go on like this. Ellen Johnson's bad leadership has brought us to the point where our country is nearly at a point of breakdown. Okay? She's untruthful to boycott. I mean, that's not my business. I like Joe, and I think Joe would be a good asset to the Liberian people if he had the opportunity to lead with his experience. Some people may not feel that way. Okay? But Ellen, deceitful ways must stop. This woman cannot betray our country and destroy it, then lie to everybody and just destroy people's lives. She lied to Talbot. She destroyed Talbot. And she's still doing it today in Liberia. And it's mind-boggling how the Liberian people can just follow this woman. Now they passed the code of the code of conduct. It was passed by the legislature, affirmed by the judiciary. Now Philip Banks comes here and messed the whole thing up to get his way. Philip Banks in the first place did not want the code in place. He was one of the dissenting judges who wrote the dissenting opinion. Then he comes and sits on top of the very case and misapplied the laws of Liberia and got the whole country in a turmoil now. Now the people in the legislature who are not pleased with his ruling who want to impeach him. They want to impeach him, Kabina, Janet, and James Etta Wallocoli. Incompetence, tampering, all kind of things to charge them with. They had 3 charges against them. You know. But again, Article 73 of the Liberian Constitution forbids the legislature or anyone from tampering with judges when they have rendered the decisions. The judges cannot be punished for their decisions except if it is for breach of peace, it is a crime, or it is a felony. Other than that, we cannot impeach our judges, and we cannot reprimand them for the decisions. So right there, the action of the legislature is against the Constitution of Liberia. But because Philip Banks have tampered with our laws, and the people can see that it was clear tampering, because Philip Banks said that his decision in the ruling of the case of the petition of aspirants who were challenging the court after it had been reaffirmed by the judiciary, the entire judiciary, Philip Banks said that his decision in that case took effect on that very day, which opened the doors for people who wanted to run but were cognizant of the code and wanted to obey it. They didn't run or do anything. Now they have to get up and form their parties, and between now and October, many of the parties will not fulfill the election laws in filing their documents. So right now, the legislature, 5 or 6 lawmakers want to impeach these 3 judges. They had a hearing, they wrote a petition, it was approved by the judiciary that voted upon it, and they sent a writ over to the judiciary to appear before them. So getting that writ, the judiciary sent thereby a writ of prohibition against the legislature, telling them to appear to show them why they want to impeach them. Now here the 2 branches of our government summoning each other and at war with each other with 2 months to our national elections on the election laws. This is asinine. It is all because of Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, her mismanagement, corruption, and tampering with the laws of Liberia. Now we have the mean briber, accused briber in Liberia, Rodney Chesson, whose case was pending, and he passed out during Borkai's endorsement. He passed out and was rushed out of the country. And now that case has stopped. And while the legislature and the judiciary is fighting, they can't go back to those robbers, those rogues, the accused rogues. But Rodney Chesson case better not be swept under the rug. Liberians will not tolerate corruption. Whether or not these people die, we don't care. We're coming after their properties in Liberia and everything that they own. You cannot tamper with Liberian laws and people. And you one of the big men in our country, Rodney Chesson. You one of the big men in Liberia that we're looking to lead our country into a new era. And here you are being accused of bribery, being accused of all kind of crooked thing. Your integrity is tarnished. As one of Liberia's major sons, you're a disgrace, Rodney Chesson. You're a disgrace. I respected you so much, but it hurts me to see that you are destroying what our fathers built. You are destroying the future of our children. And I can't take that from you, Rodney Chesson. You must be prosecuted. You must face the consequences of the law. Let's move on. Now, Ellie has responded to the legislature and told them that their actions violated Article 73 of the Liberian Constitution, and that they should cease and desist with their impeachment proceedings against the judiciary. They haven't responded yet to that. So this was just done recently, either today or yesterday. Ellen came out. And the newspaper is also concerned that Borka has not come up to condemn the legislature, and people believe that it's a conspiracy because most of the lawmakers who want to impeach the judges boycott supporters who endorsed him. So people think there is a strategy among them to punish the judiciary for the decision involving Conway, who was late in declaring his intention to run but filed a petition, and he was one of the aspirants that Philip Banks cleared to run for Boycott's opposition party. And people think that it's Boycott and his legislators who endorsed him are trying to punish Philip Banks and his three people. Although I do believe Philip Banks need to be punished, but we have to follow the laws of Liberia. So that's where we are with the Liberian situation now. But because of this fuss between the legislature and the judiciary, there's a possibility we may not have elections in October, because this whole thing is stalling the October process. And now the alien has spoken against the legislators. We have to see what their next move will be, maybe next week or Monday. So my last thing on this thing is Africa Today. And I've partly touched on it with our African leaders in the ECOWAS and African Union. Our leaders in Africa got to grow up. Y'all haven't grown up yet. And when I say grow up, I mean understand your responsibilities to the African people. You are leaders of the richest continent on this earth. Our people were snuffed out of Africa from the 1400s to today. We're still suffering from the badges of slavery. If you leaders of Africa do not become conscious and seek to liberate Negro people all over the world, Africa and Africans will remain enslaved for the next century. It is not physical slavery. It is mental and psychological slavery. When you yourself believe that you are inferior to other people. Many Liberians believe, many Africans believe that our Western partners are more superior to us. And this cannot go on. God gave us the same abilities as every man upon this earth. And as long as black people in America have not achieved the kind of freedom and equality that they deserve, Africa has to stand up for Americans, black Americans. And we have to let the Western world know that African people in every nation of this world will not be subjected to inhumane treatment, slavery, discrimination, bigotry, and hatred. KKK, skinheads, Africans need to take a stand against these people. If the U.S. laws and Constitution cannot stop these people from harming Negro people as they did in the 60s and 50s and 70s, African leaders have to shut Africa down. We can't come to the West to manage these people, but we can impact the economy. Every nation in this world depends on Africa. We must take a stand for the liberation of our people. No more. If black people in America and England and Europe not free, how can these same people from those countries come to Africa and tell us they are helping us when our brothers from Africa are enslaved and mistreated in their countries today? That's deception. That's lies. Jesus has opened our eyes. We must lead our people into a new era. This is my message for the week, and I hope you all imbue what I've said, take it into consideration, and understand that this is our world. And we have a vast universe to contend with. We are primitive when it comes to space travel. We are far backwards. We don't know the advances of other civilizations in the universe. But it's coming time that we will have a contact, a third contact with aliens. It's not long. All our resources on the earth are depleting because of the waste of mankind. And we may have to travel to other planets in search of resources. White people cannot do this alone. Africa will not let you take our resources if you will leave us out. A hint to the wise is quite sufficient. Have a good week.